First thing you need to do is remove the 8 10mm bolts that hold the valve cover on. There are 3 gaskets. The one main outer one that goes around the edge that I'm pulling out here. You probably want to get rid of that if it feels like it's gotten hardened from the heat. And the 2 other gaskets are surrounding the spark plug holes in the center. And I use a pick just to get them out and throw them away. There are 3 10mm bolts that hold the valve cover breather in place. And there's a gasket underneath there as well. You can probably reuse that unless it feels pretty rough. It's not too critical. Now the camshaft caps themselves, there are 6 of them. And I chose to go round robin and loosen them all up halfway at first, and then go round again. These end pieces can be a little stubborn. And you just want to remember, you'll see as I go along here, that you want to lay things out as you take them off in the places that they were while they were installed. We're going to label everything in a second here. The camshafts themselves just lift right up, and you also want to keep track of which one was which until you get the labeling done. Here I've labeled the bag right hand side, intake 3 and 4. This is for a camshaft cap that was between valves 3 and 4, the way I label them. Those 2 there. These end pieces obviously are not between any particular valves, so just label it intake right hand side or left hand side depending on which cylinder head you're working on. Also, it's important to keep those bolts away from the journal surface on the inside. These camshaft seals can be thrown away. You don't want to reuse those. Put your valve cover bolts in a bag so you're not missing one of them 2 weeks from now. Just keep things neat. You know where everything is. I use some foam in this particular case for the camshafts, just to make sure that they don't get bumped or dropped. If they do, they've at least got some sort of protective coating on them. And I've labeled that intake right hand side, and I'll do the same for the other one, exhaust. So now you want to clean off the tops of the buckets and the shims. So I've just got some brake cleaner here. Eventually you're going to write on them with a Sharpie marker. So you're just trying to get the surface oil off. And then just go ahead and label them. For me, that would be intake 4, intake 3, intake 2, intake 1, exhaust 4, 3, 2, and 1. I've found that the easiest way to actually get the buckets and shims out of each individual port, so to speak, is with a magnetic pickup. This one's actually pretty strong. It's got a rare earth magnet in it. It makes it a little hard to separate it from the shim and bucket. So just be careful. You don't really want to mar the surface of either of those. And obviously take them and put them in a position relative to what you pulled them out of until you can get them labeled properly and in bags. This happened to be intake 4. You may have some old studs that are left in there. All you have to do is just use some channel locks to get those out and find something at an auto store to replace them. This is a valve spring compressor. The tool part number is OTC 4572. If you do a Google search, you can find it. It's one of the only ones I believe everybody has found that works well on the Subaru heads. The cup side, which is adjustable, you want to just seat up against the valve face itself while you're working on it. You'll clamp it down and then tighten it to actually get it to compress the spring. So on the other side, you just put the tool up against the valve spring retainer. Make sure it's centered because you're going to need to get the retainers out of there. And all I'm doing on the other side there is twisting the cup side to tighten it down and compress the spring. I've got the magnetic tool again to take out the 2 retainers. And just loosen the other side until the tool can be unsprung without everything blasting out at you. And just pull out the spring, pop the valve through the other side, and make sure you label everything.